Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. So we're finally on the last of the faction ships, and this is the Daredevil. Now here is something to note about the Daredevil. The Daredevil isn't the best ship to use, right? I'm just going to say that straight off the bat. It is one of the best tackles that you can ever use. It's from the same class as the Vindicator, so I'm suspecting that it has a really hard tackle. So it will have a more effective range in terms of Weber fires, and it will have a lot of firepower to it. So it can tackle and damage ships very quickly. So let's look at it quickly. Alright. Advanced small railguns, plus 25% damage per level. That's 125% damage. That means it's more than doubled what it can put out, and with 3 weapons in that slot, it's going to be quite effective. It's going to give you 3/4 of an additional weapon extra, so quite a bit of firepower. Plus 10% small accuracy fall off, so you're going to get a 50% increase in the accuracy fall off. Fitting it up with the right type of railguns will make the ship unbelievably effective for you. Higher DPS and a faster hit when it comes to it. Okay, Advanced Frigate Command. Status Weber Fire Strength. Plus 10% per level. If you add this here all together, that gives you 50% extra stasis Weber Fire Strength. So when it hits a ship, say for example you had a 61%, which is Predator, if you increase it by 50%, that's a 92% reduction in speed. For almost any ship, there is an instant death. This is crippling the ship beyond the point where it can move. You're going to apply 100% damage to the ship at this point. Even if it Weber fires you, they lose that advantage when it comes to their overall speed, because they're so slow that they're almost standing still. Okay, stasis Weber fire optimal range is plus 10%, so 50% range extension on Weber fires. Plus 10% disruptor optimal range. Nothing really important for that whole thing. So 50% increase in range, that's going to put you up to 21-22 kilometers. It's quite good for actual fighting when it comes to battles. 417 overall, 4,717 overall defense puts it in the higher class of defense. Flight velocity of 439 meters per second. That is going to make it a very fast ship compared to a lot of the others. It will have an edge against a lot of these ships. The only ship that it will not be able to beat is going to be the Gurma. The Gurma has the advantage of being able to launch missiles that are going to be way faster than the ship's velocity. It's not going to change the difference in whether it can hit it or not, even if it is moving at max speed. Alright, next thing, 5 AU warp speed. It can't outweigh the... what was that other ship? I'm forgetting the name. Worm and... sorry, I just had to do this here. Dremel. It's not going to outweigh the Dremel in terms of speed when it comes to tackle, but it is a far better tackling ship for close range combat. Flight velocity, okay, that's what it is. Power grid is 72 megawatts. Considering that it is running on railguns, the bigger grid is expected. Capacitor is 657 gigajoules, 280 cubic meter cargo hold, 138 scan radius. So it is a very small scan radius. You're not going to lock onto it very easy. It is going to have those advantages in terms of fighting. So let's get into this here. The 3x3 for the ship is going to be 3 weapon, 3 mid, 3 low. Now obviously we know what the mids are going to be on the ship, considering it is so powerful. You don't need more than 1 web. If you're using double Weber fires, it's because you really want to knock out an enemy's speed. If you use double on the ship, you're overdoing it. It's not necessary, because when you reduce a ship by 61% and 61% the second time, it's exactly what the ship does with a single web. So yeah, let's get into the high slots. It uses railguns. Okay, so rifled railguns are the first option. Let's look at what they can do. We've got a 9x15 in terms of range. Remember, we have a 50% increase in accuracy fall off. That gives us 7.5 to 9. 1.5 kilometers is the range in which you won't be able to get hit in the close range, and it takes you out quite a bit in terms of the outer range. So 15 kilometers worth of fire range makes it quite useful. Could be really good, but let's see what the snub nose can do. Okay, and remember that firepower is going to go through the roof when it comes to what you can do with this ship. Alright, let's go snub nose. Alright, 11 megawatt draw. You count that up to 3, that's 33 megawatts out of 72. It is a big hit, but it's not going to kill the ship. Activation time 4 seconds, 1.8 by 2.4. Now, this is the thing about the ship. Remember, it's slowing ships down till they can't move. So 1.8 plus 2.4 is going to give you a 4.2 kilometer range in terms of its firing with snub nose. And snub nose is going to push it through the roof with firepower because it's a 125% increase. That's going to push it past 90 per weapon. That's going to put it almost at 300 per the full augmentation of weapons. Plus it has good enough speed to stay unhit in combat. If you're using snub nose on the ship, you're going to have a much better time than using the rifle railguns. Fast firing time, quite a high amount of damage, and you are really capable of inflicting damage on an opponent. PvP wise, using this very same technique, PvE same technique, it's going to work quite well because of its innate advantage when it comes to its next section. In terms of slots, let's go for electronic warfare. As I said, double Weber fires is pointless on the ship. If you double Weber firing, let's say for example something moving at 4,500 because you've overclocked the speed, 4,500 minus 90%, you're going to have 450 meters per second runaway speed. That's about the same speed as the ship in standard mode. When you add in the total of an afterburner to this vessel or a micro warp drive, that speed goes through the roof. If you're going to try and stop it with the Weber fire, because this is for PvE that I'm mainly building these ships, you're only going to knock off about 55% of that speed. So it's still going to be about 700. So the fastest ship can't escape this vessel in PvE. In PvP, yes, they can escape. If they hit you with double webs, they can push you down far enough that you won't be able to recover from it. So yeah, that's the only time that you will lose. So a single stasis Weber fire is definitely going to give you your edge. You're going to be able to close in on the enemy. By the time you close in on the enemy won't even have a chance to slow you down, because remember, you have a 20 kilometer range with your Weber fire. When you hit them, they're just going to instantly slow down in such a big slowdown that it's going to let you catch up. You're going to be applying 300 to 400 DPS per second, and I'll explain why it's 400 DPS in a second now. Okay, so what is our other two slots going to be? So we know that's 1 plus the total of 33, that's 34. We're catching up to 72. With the augmentation, it's just under 110. That's really where it's sitting, but nonetheless, I'll augment it nicely. Nosferatu, because of the close range, double it. Perfect little augmentation for you to use in PvE. It increases your grid while taking out their grid. That's 18 to our 34 will go up to 52 megawatts total power grid with low slots included. Okay, so 52, we have 20 from the standard, and we have the 30 plus to go with extension of research. Now, here's where things get a bit complicated. This is an armor tanking vessel, but because of the close range that you're going to be fighting in, it might be better to run a little bit of shield boost. I'm not sure on it myself. I'm going to go with the armor build for this particular build, but if you want to, you can always swap to the shield build because you have quite a good ability to recover capacitor. Remember, your capacitor usage isn't crazy from your weapons. It's 1 point something gigajoules from the system. Your regeneration is where most of your grid is going to be drained. Your Weber fires are too small to really hurt you too much. And in terms of this here being added to it, it's really helping you big time. So I'm thinking that armor repairers will do well, but there is a possibility that people will be able to cut your shields down quite efficiently because you're in the same class as a cruiser, so 2 to 3 hits. But obviously you are knocking people down so far in speed that you are making quite a big difference. 13 megawatts out of the 20. You know what, not too bad. We can't go any larger for that particular role. There we go, we've got a good boost. And in terms of this ship, if you really want to hurt an enemy, you can always use your micro warp drive, right? As I said, most ships aren't going to boost to those terrific speeds. You're going to get 1,500 being reduced 90%. 1,500 reduced 90% is going to give you 150 speed. 150 speed against you being pulled out of warp by a warp disruptor isn't going to knock you down far enough. Even if they hit you with a 55% reduction, you're still catching up on that enemy with them webifying and disrupting you at the same time. So you have the edge from the start to the end. They are totally finished. Plus you're going to be draining them to increase your grid. It's going to reduce the ability of the micro warp drive to knock out your grid's total power. So let's see what the B type is. 19 megawatts for the small. This is the first time that we're actually going into a draw beyond where we started, and we have a little bit more for whatever else is going to go on the system. We have one more thing to install on the system, and this is where you can go ham. You can add the armor resistance to this vessel to push it through the roof. Remember, you slow things down so far that you effectively get armor resistance from a Weber fire. So if you are going to go with this particular route, you can actually push to make it even more effectively resistant with the armor wrap. The armor hardener. That's going to make your armor almost unbeatable. Yes, you will run out of shield almost instantly in every single fight, but you will be able to hold on to your armor for quite some time. That is the catch with it. If you go with the shield resistance, your capacitor is impacted quite heavily, but your capacitor isn't going to be totally destroyed because you have the ability to augment it with your Nosferatu. If you're using a single Nosferatu and double Weber fire, you effectively push your resistance through the roof. You're still far away from reaching the limit of your power grid. Okay, let's go to your rigs. In terms of this particular type of ship, you're going to go damage, and acceleration of fire. Now remember, stub noses are extremely fast, so double accelerating the fire isn't going to help, but double increase in their damage, 20% plus 20%, is really going to be where you want to go. 20% of 300 is 60. So there you go, you just pulled out 60 extra DPS, and your second one is going to pull out just under 60. You're going over 400 DPS, and you will generally apply 100%. All effective resistances will almost be nullified against you because of how far you're slowing them down, plus you eating power from them and keeping your shield up or your armor up. You effectively not going to go down. I'm not even going to go through the shield build. The shield build will just replace the shield field, the armor wrap with the shield wrap, the armor hardener with the shield hardener, and that way there you have effectively more defense before your ship is in danger, but you have less overall defense because of the size of the defense of the ship. The ship is very effective against big vessels. In terms of engineering, I would actually go double auxiliary thruster. That is going to push you through the roof. I already know it's going to push you through the roof. Enemies aren't going to be able to counter you. You're going to be smashing right through all of their defenses. You're really not going to be in that much of trouble, especially with the micro warp drive as your bonus. And the last thing is just a semiconductor control. Or is it the memory? Whichever one boosts up your capacitor. The overall effectiveness of this is going to be more power for your ship, an effective faster speed while moving around, which is helping your webify your effectiveness in case somebody tries to webify you, and in case somebody knocks you out of micro warp drive, you can just apply DPS non-stop to enemies. Yes, you don't have the biggest Nosferatu. Yes, you don't have the biggest shield booster, but you do have an effective resistance that is almost on par with something like a succubus. You would be in trouble against something like a succubus. Even with your drain against them, you don't really stand that much of a chance against the shield field module. You are doubling the amount of impact that the shield points effectively have, so you could penetrate, but it's not guaranteed that you will win. So I hope that you all do enjoy, and I will catch you all in the next one. See you all then. Have a good day.